Let me bring you back to the matter of President Akufo-Addo, because you're talking about management of our management into bankruptcy.
Yes.
Is that necessarily something you can actually bring criminal charges on?
You can. First, he didn't keep his constitutional pledge to keep a balanced economy or to promote a balanced economy. Secondly, he has been equally responsible. He didn't start galamsey, but he tolerated it and at times defended even his party functionaries who were like Wontumi and others. Two, he bear vicarious liability for the sins of his appointees, like the CCLR and the Parkies, money laundering. In as much as there is no evidence that they were the proceeds of corruption, money laundering itself calls into question your lifestyle audit to find out where you got the money from. We allowed her to tell his cock and bull story and get off with it. His own cousin, Uforiata, recklessly borrowed money because every time he borrowed, he gets profit, which he takes outside the country. All this implicating. So we can go to court against him. Look at what he did with the National Cathedral. Is that not causation of financial loss to the state? Apart from the buildings there that he pulled down. So far, almost $59 million down the hole. That's criminal.
Then you also say you think that if you wait for Ken Oforiatta to come into this country, he might never come.
He won't come.
What do you think should be done?
Execute the warrant for repatriation with the US. That's all you have to do. If it's in the US, execute it. After all, we've returned people to the US who have committed crimes in the US. And this guy has committed crime in Ghana, so bring him back. But if you say he's going to come back by himself, he won't.
Well, let me move to, because you're talking about impression management of the government. As far as impression management goes, so far, do you think the government, you raise issues about galamsey, especially, which clearly is a topic that vexes you, but do you think they've done well in terms of impression management?
Yeah, the management of the economy, the prudent management of our financial situation are all pluses. And the programs that he has announced to be launched are also pluses for him. If nothing at all, he's cast out, he's completely brought down the cost of the presidency to the nation. 60 ministers, they are even 58 now, doing the job that Akufo-Addo took 120 ministers and they did do. That's a wide difference between this man's management and Akufo-Addo's reckless management. So he has a lot of pluses. But you see, Ghanaians won't forgive him and the NDC if we don't fight the galamsey war. He didn't create the doomsday, but see how they use it against him. Because he pussyfooted too much, too long. By a process of accretion, we could have built up the capacity to produce our electricity. And I think it's about time we look inwards for our investment. You have to support Ghanaian industries, even though I do not believe that the private sector in Ghana can be the engine of growth. That story is hoy. the private sector is a parasitic entity in Ghana. But reliance on FDI, foreign direct investment, is not the answer. Right now, the policy initiative, I think, announced in Japan was that it was going to remove the 1 million requirement for people to come and invest. Invest where? Foreign investment, where does it go? It only goes into the extractive industries. Did they come and build factories? Akufo-Addo's automobile this thing. We've had vehicle assembly plants all over. Why didn't the firm, VW, and also bring a manufacturing plant here? What they are doing is use cheap labor and tax concessions to assemble their vehicles and take them and go and sell them. Which foreign investor go into productive sectors of our economy? Do we have foreign investors in farming? You are a farmer. Mr. President, you are a farmer. You know the value of farming. We have teeming army of unemployed people. Create the peri-urban agricultural homesteads that I proposed in 2009.
What would this involve?
All it will involve is that you settle a group of people in a land. They are active farm workers or they are artisans, etc. It's akin to the Israeli kibbutz system. Since they are close to urban centers, you cut out the cost of transportation of foodstuffs. So urban food supply will be cheaper. People can even drive there and get their products. You reduce the level of unemployment. You take out the shanty slums that are coming, because inside the farm, you build them dormitories. More hygienic. They will have electricity because they can have cottage industries there. Carpenters, masons, etc. We didn't even try it on a pilot basis. I tell you what, when Atachia visited me in The Hague, and I was talking about this peri-urban agricultural thing, when he came, Akufo-Addo tried it in Tema.
He attempted it?
Yes, he tried it in Tema, but Tema is too populated. There are peripheral boundaries where you can settle farms. Sena, I drove from Kampala to Lusaka. And I've driven from Abidjan to Yamoussoukro. Along the road, all you see is big plantations. Whether it's corn, bananas, or whatever. Big plantations. We in Ghana are still reliant on peasant farming. Why? And food prices are so high because our roads are no good. There are low-hanging fruits. Let us pick them. After all, when I made that proposal first, the peri-urban agriculture, it was John Mahama who told me to develop the concept for presentation to cabinet. We had a cabinet retreat at Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center. And I put the proposal to President Mills. He was impressed. He told Kwesi Ahoy who was then the Agric Minister, and Dr. Dapa, who was the Chief Director, that in their next budget they must make allowance, because all I needed was 1 million to put more than 100,000 people on the farm. $1 million. Never had anything out here.
Do you think this is the right time to try something like this?
We are turning our peri-urban environment into concrete castles. So, when I first proposed it, the question was, where do we get the land? Then I told Professor Mills that you have executive power to appropriate any land you want. What is happening is that the government appropriates land and then sell it to private developers who build castles. So there are no green buffer between Accra and Tema. It's all concrete castles. Why? You need a green buffer zones in your environment. You need means of employing people. It's not that you are going to build your factories overnight. We don't have the money. So you take advantage of your natural endowments, labor and land. And you are waiting, and the land is being misused. Cocoa farms are being cut down for galamsey.
Well, we're still having a conversation with Dr. Tony Aidoo, former Ghana ambassador to the Netherlands. A few other issues that come up immediately, and I spoke to you provocations on this matter of the petitions that led to the removal of the CJ. Well, it concluded with a recommendation that the CJ be removed. Were you satisfied with the process that was followed, the final conclusion? Do you think there are issues there to be addressed?
There are no issues. The Constitution is explicit so far as the procedure is concerned. And everybody is a servant to the Constitution of Ghana, including the President and the Chief Justice. What rankled with opponents is that the President did not exercise his discretion in favor of the Chief Justice by asking her to remain in office. But that would have been ridiculous. There is a person who has been found that he has a case to answer. And you see, when the matter goes to the Council of State, the question that the Council of State asks itself before arriving at the prima facie is that did it happen? Is what is alleged actually happened? That's all that the Council, it happened. In which case, you, the accused person, come and open your defense. Open your defense in front of a 5-member committee. You wanted to be kept in office at a time when you were going to defend yourself? This is ridiculous. It's an exercise in ridicule.
That was an argument that was made by the GBA too.
The GBA is not a trustworthy organization.
Why do you say so?
Oh, come on.
Because it's made up of lawyers from your side of the divide, from the NPP and other people who are not.
But led by people who are always on the side of the NPP. The only occasion in which the GBA was led by somebody who could not be identified with the NPP was during Osagyefo. Osagyefo went and paid Tatu Chikata a visit in Sawam. And then they started the agitation to remove him. At the next election, they removed him. What kind of organization is this? Full of contradictions.
So, do you agree with what the Attorney General?
Oh, definitely. It's an association That does not inure to the benefit of Ghanaians. Anachronistic in its thinking, ineffective in its orientation. Look at this issue of appealing to outside associations. Was it the British Law Society or wherever in the Commonwealth? Typical Nkrumah tactics. A sovereign nation like Ghana. I tell you what happened when I was a kid in Kumasi. You ever heard of chokros?
No.
You ever heard of Kobodise?
I've heard of Kobodise.
And Amadou Baba?
Yes.
Amadou Baba was a Nigerian national, but he was the chief of the Zongos in Ashtown.
Okay.
My house is here. Take 5 minutes walk to Amadou Baba's house. Amadou Baba was given a deportation order.
This happened under which administration?
Under Nkrumah.
Okay.
Nkrumah administration. Was given a deportation order because he was interfering in Ghana politics. And this was a time when Nkrumah was being chased around with assassination attempts everywhere. The Nkrumah, at that time it was the UP. They sent an appeal to the Privy Council. A sovereign nation like Ghana, and you send a case to the Privy Council, the British, as if we are still under colonialism. In as much as some Commonwealth countries send petitions to the Privy Council, it is because the Queen is still head of the nation. We declared the Republican status. We have cut off our political and legal ties with the UK, except from the jurisprudential point of view, the use of common law, which is common to both jurisdictions. So I wasn't surprised when these people send petitions to lawyers outside our country. If they could, they would have even sent the petition to the Privy Council. Okay, so back to the story. Amadou Baba was being deported. The UP people engaged chokros, the Queen's Council, to come and defend him. Kobodise, who was then the Minister of Interior, issued a deportation order against chokros. As soon as the mass plane landed, he was handed this. Yes. He didn't even put his foot in Ghana. Then Kobodise came back and said, chokros in, chokros out.
That's an interesting one. So for you, this history tells you
the historical record don't lie. It shows that they left the spots of a scheme. The NPP, they will never change. They will always be like that. They will always be anti-national, class-based, tribal-based organization. All they want is control of the country. We give them 8 years to control the country. What did they do? Kufuor had 8 years. What did he do? What did he do? Apart from that runabout at on the way to the motorway. Tetekwashi. That was built without consideration to the flow of traffic. What did he do? He borrowed. There is no social intervention program during Kufuor's time that was not bankrolled by foreign governments. Whether it's school feeding Netherlands, whether it's maternal free maternal care, Britain, a whole series of it, national insurance and so on and so forth.
Well, we have to be bringing this to a close. A few things. One, if they were to review the constitution, which is currently ongoing, which provisions would you propose are looked at again?
I find it very ironic that the very person who stunted the progress of the first review, Constitutional Review Committee, which was to be implemented by John Mahama, is the one who is chairing this same Kwesi Prempeh. I was a member of the Consultative Assembly. We know why we put certain provisions in place. My one misgiving was that I made an attempt to take the Council of State out and put in a second chamber constituted of occupational representatives. I call it my Black Friday. The debate went on for 4 hours. Finally, I said I withdraw the amendment out of, because I was hearing, you win, you win, you win. I said, this is not about politics. It's about sense. We set up a Council of State that is beholden to the President, and we expect that Council of State to give advice contrary to the wishes of the President. But if you have a second chamber, occupational representatives, you have taken that chamber out of the political realm. That chamber is not part of the other chamber that is politicized. Occupations like, let's say, Guta, TIU, Journalists Association, they all have representatives. In the end, you can't put up more than 20, at most 25. The second chamber can do a lot. They'll have the patience to examine bills. They'll have the patience to institute a process of appointment of key leaders, the Chief Justice, IGP, etc., without the President coming in. We set up an emoluments committee. They will look after how government employees should be paid. President Mahama has seen the socialist wisdom in removing this end of service benefit. But is that enough? Socialism, we stand for social justice. Stand for social justice, not equity. Equity is just a legal term. But social justice is a sociological term. It shows that what is good for the goose must be good for the gander. That is what we mean by social justice, and that's what the NDC stand for.
So for you, if you consider that second chamber instead of the Council of State,
yes,
that'll be helpful.
Yes, I think it will be helpful. We'll have the opinion of non-politicians bearing on our system of governance.
Any other thing you think is wrong with the Constitution? Because there are many people who say this Constitution is no longer fit for purpose.
Oh, the problem with the Constitution is the immense power that the President holds over appointment and dismissal. We need to streamline that. So if there's an independent appointing process, that will be good for the Constitution, like the Chief Justice. In principle, you say that the person who is senior of the panel always must be promoted to head the Supreme Court. You cut out the presidency. What is so worrying about this? We need to depoliticize a whole series of things. First, we say that we must have strong institutions. And yet, our political system and architecture prevent us from establishing strong institutions. Then there is this proposal that we must have a national development plan. That will be constitutionally enforceable.
Yes.
On all political parties. This is nonsense.
You think so?
Yes.
Because there are people who say there's no long-term thinking in terms of the way we approach.
So there are constitutional provisions which direct governments to do what their predecessor is doing. To the extent that that's not justiciable, make it justiciable. Bring it under a provision that enforces continuity. You don't have to set up a group of civil servants and technicians, technocrats, not voted into power, not having the responsibility of accountability and so on and so forth, to plan and impose those plans on successive governments. What do you think our politics will become? To become politics of personalities. We will not have party manifestos operating. Concentration will be on personalities. We don't want a culture of personalities. This is what led to Nkrumah's downfall. Cult of the personality. Akufo-Addo, with this hanky in his coat. All these things. I'm most sorry. I'm coming. Come and greet me.
And I wonder how that made you feel, because I've spoken to him a couple of occasions where you've described him as a fascist.
Of course he's a fascist. And it's fascism is wrong. It's the West.
What were the traits that made you believe that he was displaying classical fascism for you?
He wanted to control every institution. Look, the imposition of party functionaries at the national,
The Electoral Commission.
The Electoral Commission. Yeah. It's fascism. You want to control the institution. Control our security apparatus. You see how they were dressed when they went to Ayawaso to cause that mayhem. Brown, yeah. Hitler's brown jackets. Beating people up and so on and so forth. Why? So many things. His style of control. And you see, maybe he should be excused because people whom we call apalahala, short people, they have an inferiority behavior complex. So they have to flex their muscles to become somebody. And he has that behavior orientation. Otherwise, he won't go and say, get up and let me come and greet me.
Did any of this shock you? Because
yes.
you were, I think you would have known him over a certain period of time. Were you shocked by some of the things he did during his administration?
No, I found it very funny. I wasn't shocked. I knew his behavior was predictable.
Predictable?
Yes.
But there were those who said they expected better of him.
Oh, rhetoric. Political rhetoric on the platforms is different from political action when you get into office. Go and do Cinderella projects. Testy Wells is going to build one village, one dam.
One district, one factory.
One district, one factory. So that you can get economic concessions to your people who support you. Oh. He has a lot to answer to Ghana for, Akufo-Addo. The worst government that has ever governed this country is Akufo-Addo.
Really? Because you saw from Nkrumah through the military regimes,
Yes.
through the few democratic regimes we have before the 1992 dispensation?
I was not here during the military regimes. I didn't see a Africa regime.
Okay.
But Achampon was a far-sighted leader, even though he came to power unconstitutionally. He did a lot. He did a lot, and he stood his ground against new colonialism. Rawlins did his best. At least if he did nothing at all, he extended electricity to places where no electricity has ever gone. And politically, he was vilified for it. He's taking electricity to people who can pay. What's the meaning? Are they not Ghanaians? Are they not entitled to the same welfare? Oh, Ghana, this country is full of sycophants and hypocrites.
And on the front burner is now the NPP seeking to elect a flag bearer. And I'm sure because you've been monitoring actively, you've heard even an apology from Dr. Bawumia, apologies from Kenny Japan and everything. First of all, what do you think of the state of the NPP you have come face to face with?
Well, at the moment, it appears there is an implosion. And everybody is testy. TES. Easily annoyed when you say something disadvantageous to them. I believe Bawumia will win the primary elections. But Bawumia is not a trustworthy person. He lacks sincerity. And over the years, we've seen this man as a very insincere person. Look at the way he apologized. First, he tried to distance himself from the Akufo-Addo administration. Now it is ours. You propelling yourself as the greatest economic whiskey, the best vice president this country has ever. Now you are saying, and now Opa supporters nature and Ghanaians are very much alive. If Mahama can fulfill even 70% of his promises, there is no way that Bawumia can become president. Yet, the NDC too has its own problems.
And I'll come to the NDC shortly.
Yes.
Of all the people who want to lead the NPP, and also maybe your thoughts on the way they've decided to approach this. You did a lot of work on strategy research when you were active, very, very active in our politics. So their strategy is elect flag bearer, come to the executive. And on our second, do you have any preference, if not Bawumia, anybody else would have preferred, should have been picking up?
What they have started with will fragment the party. Because those who don't win at the primaries, I don't think they will give their support to Bawumia. The other thing is that, what are the chances of Bawumia winning the presidency? Like I said, it's too exposed to Ghanaians to be a person who lacks sincerity, an opportunist. He doesn't have any ideas in his head. Imitative knowledge, that's more he has. Theoretical claptrap. But his chances will depend upon how the NDC resolve their succession problem, which lies ahead.
Dr. Bawumia says, I can't 9%. All he needs is 9%, and then he will win.
I can't 9. What is 9?
I can't 9%. So if you add 9 to what you got in the last election, you essentially have won. If you add 9% to his total vote tally in the last election, you would have won the election.
9%.
Yes.
9% is a huge number. I made a mistake in 2000 when we went to the second round. Going to the second round, a BBC reporter called me and said, we are adrift about 6%. And I said, 6% is nothing. When our people come to vote, we will make up that gap. Hey, they roasted me, Chrissy Pratt, one time. Who can on a NDC Louisiana? I said, what kind of talk is that? How can I go and persuade Edward Mahama and others to come to the NDC free? Because I said, their mind is already made up. What I was doing was mere psychological psyop to motivate our people to come and vote. That's all I was doing.
But do you have a preference in the race, in the NPP race?
No.
None of them? Kennedy Japan, perhaps?
Oh my God. Kennedy Japan as president of Ghana. Hey.
He said he will pursue Nkrumah's vision.
Which he?
Yes.
What does he know about Nkrumah? He Kennedy Japan. What does he know about Nkrumah? And he's a grassroots man and he'll create jobs and so on. How much contract has he got from Kufuor to become a millionaire? How much of that advantage did he extend to the party? Who talk nonsense?
Yeah, Brian Champo.
He's not trustworthy. Another opportunist.
Then I'm sure you know Kwame Japan.
Kwame Japan think he can use rhetoric. Ghanaians don't fall for rhetoric and good English-speaking people. I used to be a good English speaker to myself when I was young. But if I stood for election, they wouldn't have voted for me.
Is it? Well, look, that's one of the things you said about the new patriotic party. First, before I go there, do you think they can be able to resolve their issues and be prepared to take over power from 2028?
Well, I anticipate that they will make an attempt at unification. Whether that will succeed depends on a great deal of factors. First of all, when they finish the primary, because it's top-down affair, they will try and establish an administrative structure that supports the elected flag bearer. You know, NPP, sometimes I don't know. They are politically formidable because they can lie.
They can lie.
They can lie, tell lies.
That is why you think they are politically formidable?
Yes. Because the more lies you tell and repeat it, the more people begin to believe that it is true. Ghanaians, we are that vulnerable. And NPP, like I was telling you about this slight test remark this morning regarding 4 million people that President Mahama said. And there's a narrative that will carry on. They won't stop. Just like the narrative that went on John Mahama's buildings in so I was given a munitions factory and a big estate in South Africa by an NDC NPP supporter. It appeared on Ghana Web.
You have an ammunition factory?
I have an ammunition factory and a big mansion. That's why I am doubtful if a presidency of Kennedy Japan can be beneficial to Ghana. It won't. He's a loud mouth. He lies. He knows he can't be touched. But one day somebody is going to touch him. He lies, insults.
You think he tells the truth?
He doesn't tell no truth. He doesn't. He concocts stories about people. Oh. Anyway, as I was saying, because it's a top-down approach, the ultimate objective of unification of the party is going to be very difficult. Whether the primaries will leave behind people who are offended and therefore might even want to do what Alan Shermatin did, desert the party and form their own. I don't know. But you see, you're dealing with a highly ambitious group of people. Selfish, ruthless. That's the NPP for you. Every member of that leadership has that behavior orientation. In fact, the very foundation, the very philosophical foundation of the party is selfishness, wealth acquisition, property owning democracy. Meanwhile, the property owning is going to only a few selected few. Chronic capitalism. Every policy orientation of the NPP revolves around what is in it for me? What would I get? Selfish individuals. And that's why under Akufo-Addo 8 years, they left the country dry, stole every penny, including the Susu box.
Now, let's come to your party. Your party is on a high currently. One of his historic victory in both the parliament and the executive. They seem invincible at this moment, to the point that some of them are even suggesting that maybe after the next election cycle, the NPP itself might not exist because of what they have suffered under this election. Is there a situation that you think will affect your party in the immediate future?
First, don't forget that the 8-year syndrome inures to the benefit of the NDC, because after Mahama, they will still have 4 years to go. Then I can anticipate political infighting and factionalism within the party. So far, the only person who has really shown himself to be interested, excuse me, is I think the vice president, is I think the chief of staff, Deborah, and the agric minister.
You think they are both interested in succeeding President Mahama?
Yeah, they are. Deborah himself is being groomed by Mahama. Watch the kind of gatherings he appear to deliver addresses. He's gradually being pushed to the forefront. Then you have my friends, the young Turks, I call them. Rollins said they were baby so sharp teeth. But to me, they are young Turks. They fight a good battle. I don't want to mention any name here, as far as they are concerned. But some of them will feel that it's about time they took control, especially the extent to which President Mahama appeared to have honored them with very prominent appointments. Then there is the vice president. Is she desirous of continuing? Will she be fit? There's a whole lot of questions. Aidoo Nketia is also on the sidelines. He wants?
He wants
He wants to be president. Or you don't think that he wants to be president? I say he didn't get here. It's in the reckoning. You think victory at the level of the party is victory at the national level. But whoever is planning to take over from Mahama, a great deal depends upon the outcome of the Mahama administration. If it does well, it inures to the party. And therefore, it creates a wind on which the potential or the prospective person can ride. But I don't know. I don't want to be here. Maybe by the time it comes to that point, I will be gone.
You don't want to see what will happen to the party next?
No.
You don't want to be around to see?
I don't want to. Sena, I'm old though. I try. But I'm old. God has been good to me. But I wouldn't mind if he takes me today.
Oh, but because essentially, I think, would you not at least want to see where the future of the party, you know John Mahama.
All I want to see is live long enough to see the Black Stars qualify for the World Cup and see them play well during the World Cup.
Okay. Black Stars qualifying for the World Cup, they're playing well at the World Cup.
Yeah.
I see. You're a big sports fan?
Oh, yes. My house in London used to share a wall with West Ham's Upton Park, a wall. So sometimes I used to stand on the balcony, back room of my house, and I could see the field till they increased the length of the wall. So I was supporting West Ham. In fact, I was supporting all London clubs. Tottenham, West Ham, Arsenal, Chelsea. But when any of them meet Arsenal, I want Arsenal to win. But apart from that, any team that comes to London to play, I want the London club to win.
Wow, very interesting. And a few news to conclude on. One, this year has been quite an interesting year. You've shared many platforms with Dr. David Percy. You've shared many platforms with Ambassador Sam Piale. They've both passed on this year. What are the memories for you? What would you remember both of them for?
Oh, Percy for his insight and eloquence. And of course, his commitment to socialism. I do admire him for that. Sam P was my friend though. Later on, I don't know. He might have got annoyed with me because we created a platform for ambassadors. I never participated in the discussion because I knew there were infiltrators in that group of ambassadors. Some of them were appointed by Akufo-Addo when he came to power. But Sam P, so many memories I have of Sam P. In fact, when I was appointed Deputy Minister of Defense, he organized a crowd to come and support me because I didn't want anybody to accompany me. I was prepared to go and face J.H. Mensah and give it to him. He ran away and went to Parliament to insult me and lie about me, he and Battels, even though they were members of the appointment committee. I remember Justice Anand gave me the right, which I have constitutionally, to make a statement. They walk out, and then one by one, they will come and peep around the corner to listen to what I'm saying. And some people, at the Consultative Assembly, that's where we met. I remember the day I said I would drop the amendment on the Council of State. He was so annoyed with me. You, why? I said, I'm tired of this thing. All these opponents, they are not opposing the amendment on the basis of rational arguments. They're opposing it because we represent the CDLs. And it's coming from Tony Aidoo. Rollins has told him to come and say this. Can you imagine? Yeah.
And I guess really the memories are many, but
quite a lot. Quite a lot.
You know, something you said about Dr. Percy, you didn't see this on air, but the last one time you came to Alaji and you made a comment about him. You said Percy will walk in, make a prediction, you will challenge him, but his prediction will ultimately be the one that will come true.
That's so. Well, like I said, Percy was far-sighted. He had good brain, good analytic brain, with a good historical recall. These days, it's very difficult to find people who want to do deep thinking, but we need it for our nation building. People often forget that on the eve of 1957, Ghana was handed to Nkrumah, not as a nation. We've never been a nation. Unlike Britain and others, their nation building has taken place a long time ago. Nkrumah had to start building a nation, and he had considerable opposition from what we call destructive traditionalism, coming from Ashantis and some Northerners and Gans and Fantis. Oh, I think Ghana got cursed because we took out Nkrumah, which we shouldn't have. Because even though I didn't know much about politics in this country, I saw Nkrumah's performance when I was growing up. Days when you can just walk to Sentimental and buy ice cream. Sentimental was a hotel in Ashton where we youngsters used to group ourselves. We go and look for girlfriends and that kind of thing. Oh, yes. But we lost something with the overthrow of Kwame Nkrumah. We lost a lot. But one thing misgiving I have is that he should never have tolerated a cult of personality that was built by party people among them. It was bad. Cult of personality. The bane of African politics and development. Jomo Kenyatta with his horsewhip, Nyerere with his stick, all this. You have the responsibility to develop your country. You want to sell yourself. And you wake up and in front of Ghanaian Times, you see Nkrumah in his exquisite white tunic suit. And underneath, the Messiah is, what do you call it? Contemplation or whatever. Was it necessary? Oh, Africans. One thing I like about John Mahama and Professor Mills and Rawlins, their modesty. Their modesty.
Well, you call them young techs. In fact, the tragic helicopter crash, two of the people who had emerged at the time, I don't know how well you know Comrade Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, but I'm sure Omani Boama you would have known quite well. The two were tragically lost. I wonder what your thoughts were then and what your thoughts are so now?
Well, I was very devastated because I remember as soon as the news was confirmed that day that all 8 passengers have perished, I sent the president a message. And I said, these people this evening died in the course of fighting galamsey. Please don't let their death be in vain. Kill the galamsey before it kills us.
Kill the galamsey before it kills us.
Yes. You see, Sena, you can see the behavior of these people digging up cocoa trees or cutting them now. So arrogant. They don't care. How can we bring up a nation full of stupid fools like this in the quest for money?
A man deserves to be paid for his labor, and they feel that for laboring on the cocoa farms, they are not getting as much as they deserve whilst working as the backbone of the country.
There are other employment they can do, or if they want to mine, they should mine it responsibly. There are mining methods, and that brings me to this Aidoo guy who has been transferred from the Minerals Commission. What happened to the go catcher that he was constantly talking about? We got a go catcher. We got a go catcher. What happened to it? And why is it not being prosecuted for maladministration? Have you heard of the NDC since Mama came to power, awarding mining leases since they came? At least that's a bonus. That's credit for Mahama. This guy, I'm sure the very day he was leaving, he would have awarded a mining lease. He was awarded mining leases even during the interim period between Akufo-Addo's defeat. Or is it Baumia's defeat?
And let's conclude with, do you think we're heading in the right direction as a country?
No, we are not.
What are we missing?
We are missing a lot. We are missing homegrown solutions. We are still casting our new colonial thinking, believing that private sector investment will lead the nation out. You have a government responsible for electricity, health, education, and so. Is there any other job that they cannot control? The fact that SOEs have performed badly doesn't mean the SOE concept is bad. All you need is a reform of the management system of SOEs. You can reform that, you will be able to encourage state intervention. And the state in a third world country need to invest, need to do business. Look, we are underdeveloped because we are vulnerable to capitalist exploitation. Capitalism does not plot to come and exploit you. Capitalism exploits you because you are in the system operating peripheral status and performing peripheral functions. So you are vulnerable to exploitation. That's all.
So for you, a shift to socialism?
China, for more than 20 years, was isolated from the global system. And yet, it built enough economic growth to relink with the capitalist world from a position of strength. If China had been part of the global system since 1914, it will still be there, growing population, more mouths to feed, etc. Now China is leading, not only in economics, in technology and everything. It has invented a train that can go 650 miles an hour. Faster than an airplane. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Slaty eye wizards.
Doc, thank you for hosting us.
Thank you too. Thank you.
So, you've been watching and listening to our conversation with Dr. Tony Aidoo. Like I said, Dr. Tony Aidoo played many roles. One of the things he always spoke fondly about is that he loved to think. He loved a job in politics that allowed him to think. It's sad that Doc says he's not interested in being around to see who leads the NDC next. But we hope to have him around so that I would ask him what he thinks. Thank you.